Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be talking about Valve's new game Deadlock. Real quick, a little bit about me. I play a ton of League of Legends and Valorant throughout my years of gaming. I'm not a pro in either, not even really close. I've picked up some key tips, especially from League of Legends, that really helped me kind of understand the MOBA genre more. So I'd like to share those with you, especially if you're new to Deadlock. So I guess you can call this a beginner's guide from a beginner. I haven't been one of these people who have played Deadlock for the last few months. I don't have 400 or 500 hours in the game like a lot of these other content creators do. But playing something like League of Legends, there are a few fundamentally basic things that definitely transfer over to Deadlock. And hopefully these can just kind of help you get started on the right foot. Without further ado, let's jump right into it. All right, so let's start with the lane phase. This is where you'll spend a lot of your time early on, obviously. One of the most important things to remember here is that collecting souls should be your top priority. I see far too many people kind of treating it like almost like an Overwatch where it's just insta-trading, perma-trading, perma-fighting. You kind of got to get out of that mindset right away in a game like Deadlock. Collecting souls is super duper critical for scaling into the late game. So you want to focus on gathering those as efficiently as possible. So when you're in lane, try not to get too caught up in fighting your opponent. It can be tempting to trade blows constantly, but your main goal should be to secure as many souls as possible. You want to think about out farming your opponent. The more you collect, the stronger you'll become, the more items you can buy. And that's definitely going to catch up and give you a big advantage later on in the game. Now, building off of that first tip, let's talk about when you should actually go for a trade against your opponent. Instead of looking to perma trade, like I said earlier, focus on punishing them when they overstep. Wait for them to go for a soul and then try to capitalize off of that. Just like when you try to focus on last hitting the enemy creeps to get your souls up, you should also try to focus at the same time on when your opponent might go for the last hit on your creeps as well. That way, at the very least, if they do end up getting the souls, collecting the souls, you're there to punish and at least have some sort of trade-off there, if that makes sense. It can be a struggle at first, and I definitely think this is something that you can always just get better at. So don't worry if you're not perfect at it. That is kind of the main thing of a MOBA, is I think it's almost impossible, if not impossible, to actually be perfect on your wave management, on your laning, collecting every single soul available to you. But just be mindful of when you are giving up too many souls and maybe not punishing your opponent for that. But also obviously balance that out with, okay, I'm gonna let the guy come to me. I'm just gonna worry about farming, collecting souls, and if I happen to run into a trade where this guy wants to fight me, then I can go for a trade. Tip number 3. Now, all 3 of these tips are very, very basic, but I think overlooked by a lot of people who might not be familiar with this type of game, and that is character selection. Deadlock has a ton of unique heroes, but it's better to focus on mastering a small pool of them rather than trying to play everyone. So try to pick a few characters that you enjoy and really learn their strengths, their weaknesses, how they match up against other heroes. If you're just constantly playing somebody different, the game can be so complex at times that you will never really understand how to use a hero to their full ability. So it's important to maybe have one main character that you like to play in the game, and then maybe one good, really good, solid secondary, maybe 3, maybe even 4, but try not to just go into every game picking somebody new. You're not really gonna progress skill-wise, because there's always something that you're gonna have to worry about. Maybe you don't know how to build the character. Maybe you don't know how to use the abilities correctly. You sure as heck aren't gonna know any of the matchups if you keep playing with different characters as well, right? So I think the last and final tip is don't overwhelm yourself. Just pick a couple characters that you think you would really rock with and just go from there. There you have it. I know it's super duper basic, but those are probably my top 3 absolutely fresh beginner tips for Deadlock. Just focus on collecting souls during the lane phase. Punish your opponents when they are vulnerable and trying to collect souls on their end, and stick to a small pool of characters that you can really hone in and master. I hope these tips do help you. Hopefully they give you a strong start to the game. And if you found this guide helpful, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more content. If this does really well, I'm totally down to bring you guys more Deadlock content. I've been having a lot of fun just diving in and just exploring, man, just experimenting and just having fun with the game. So I appreciate you guys. Catch you later. I'll see you in the next one. I'm outie. Peace.